So you're thinking about booking a club fitting, or you've already booked one. First of all, congratulations, that's awesome. But what actually happens when you walk in? Well, my name's Aaron, I'm a full-time club fitter. I've done hundreds, if not thousands of fittings. And in this video, I'm gonna be taking you through a step-by-step process about what to expect in your club fitting. I've already made a video about what to do before and after club fittings. I'll have those linked in the description down below, but to give you a little bit of rundown, here's what to do before your fitting. Bring your clubs with you, that's first and foremost. Make sure you're wearing similar attire to what you would wear on the golf course. I'm not saying you have to wear a polo and golf pants, but have your golf spikes. Don't wear, slides or like I see slippers all the time. Or like Crocs and fittings all the time. And it's like, dude, you're not gonna wear that on the course. I would highly recommend that you wear some sort of golf or at least an athletic shoe to your fitting. And then the third, probably the most important tip for before your club fitting, make sure you know what you want from the fitting. Be prepared to be completely honest with your club fitter. I promise at the end of the day, it's only gonna help me help you. Also, obviously there's differences between iron fittings, driver fittings, wedge fittings, wood fittings, whatever it may be. I'm gonna talk more about the iron fitting, but the process remains the same for all of the clubs. Just some of the terminology might be a little bit more geared towards irons. So when you walk in, I would have you set your bag down, get your shoes on, and then before you hit any balls or while you're warming up with a wedge or something like that, I would start asking you some basic questions. And this is where I need you to be completely transparent with us as club fitters. There won't be, or there shouldn't be any judgment from the club fitter. We work with golfers of every skill level every day. So yeah, there should be no judgment from us towards you. If you're a good ball striker, don't downplay that. Don't say, I'm all right. If you're a good ball striker, own up to it. Say, yeah, I'm a good ball striker. If you're not a good ball striker, don't say you're a good ball striker, because then we might fit you into something that's probably out of the realm of type of iron that you should be playing. Then I'm gonna ask what your goal is from the fitting, whether that's just an update in technology, maybe your clubs are super old, maybe it's just about finding out if the clubs that you already have are right for you or if they should be adjusted, whether that's lie angle, length, grip size, anything like that. Then we're gonna talk through your misses and your good shots. If we talk about misses, I'm gonna ask you, what's your typical miss? Whether that's a block right, pull hook left, whatever that may be. Again, I just need you to be completely honest with us. That's gonna make everything run way smoother. Then on the flip side, what does a good shot look like? Is it turning over from right to left? Is it fading, falling to the right? Is it high, low? Do you struggle with spin at all? Is holding green something that you're really worried about? Do you want to change the trajectory of your ball flight? A bunch of stuff like that. Then the last one, that's usually the tougher one to ask, is budget. That is an important factor when you're fitting somebody. If they say they have no budget, that's okay, great. We can go to maybe an upcharge shaft that I think would work well. Maybe we can go to a different type of iron that I think would work better. Knowing the budget really allows you to lock in the type of fitting or the type of clubs that you can fit for before the fitting starts. And again, there's no judgment there. So if you come in and you say, my budget honestly, realistically is about $400 or $500, I don't want to spend more than that. Okay, that's fine. We can look at your club head speed, how good of a ball striker you are, and I can give you some really good used options on that market. Or maybe you have no budget. You can spend whatever you want. And that also works, but that's not going to change the way I go about my fitting. If a cheaper club works better, I'm still going to recommend that club. I've had many fittings like that where the budget is unlimited and Mizuno comes out on top, even though their club might be $15 cheaper than the Titleist or the Callaway that you were hitting. Mizuno just worked better. I'm still going to recommend that. So after all that, for irons, at least at the shop that I work at, all of our demo clubs are 7-irons. So I'm gonna have you hit some shots with your 7-iron just so I can see what that stock ball flight looks like. I'm gonna take a look at the spin. So if with your 7-iron, you're spinning the ball at 4,000 and the landing angle is only at 38 to 40, I know, okay, we're gonna need something a little bit higher launching, a little bit higher spinning. I can kind of get those gears turning in my head already as far as what type of head, what type of shaft, lie angle, weakening or strengthening the lofts, all that stuff. That can get that process started early. Then after those shots with your club, I really want to dial in the shaft as quickly as possible. Because if we can get the shaft right, if we can know what kind of shaft you're going to be in early on in the process, then it's just about the head, right? Then it's just about finding what head works best for you. But if we're spending, half the fitting trying to figure out the right shaft, halfway through the fitting, we might find that right shaft, and then we have to have you go back and hit those clubs or those companies' clubs that you already hit with the wrong shaft. And at that point, you might be tired. You might be taking tired swings, not as good swings. So I just want to avoid that. So I want to nail in the shaft as quickly as we possibly can. So let's say, for example, you're a really high dynamic loft player, you're a high spin player, maybe you come out to in a little bit, presenting a ton of loft to the ball, and it starts to balloon a little bit with your club. Then I would know from that, I would want to try maybe like a C-taper shaft, dynamic gold, S300, 400, or X100, depending on your swing speed, maybe a Project X IO. There are a few different shafts that would work for that type of player. But knowing that early on in the fitting helps me through all the rest of the heads. So I know in Strixon, they do have a C-taper that works best. I know in TaylorMade, C-taper is gonna be upcharge. So I know they have a Project X IO that I don't believe is upcharge. Mizuno has a C-taper and C-taper Lite that are not upcharge. So we know all this stuff about which companies offer which shafts at which price. So once we dial in that shaft, then it's really about which head works best for you. I'm gonna have, based on your ball striking level, I'm gonna have 2 to 3 different heads from each company that I would wanna have you try. So for TaylorMade, let's say you're in that player's distance to maybe a little bit geared towards players side of things, I would wanna have you hit, in TaylorMade, the P790, P770. In Mizuno, I would want to have you hit the JPX Forged. In the Mizuno Pro 245. In Callaway, I'd probably want to have you hit the Apex Pro, maybe the CB, maybe the AI 200 as well. Titleist, I would want to have you try T150, T250, probably just those two. Cobra, I would want to have you try King Tech, King Tour. Ping would be anywhere from Blueprint S to I530, depending on how much spin you need. And then Strixon would be either ZX5 or ZXi7. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier is when we're figuring out shaft, we're also gonna figure out generally what kind of lie angle you're gonna be in. We're gonna dial it in a little bit more specific later at the end of the fitting, but just when we're starting out, I wanna know generally what kind of lie angle you're gonna be in, whether it's standard, flat, or upright. So yeah, I'll have you hit all of those heads with the same shaft or as close to the same shaft as we can get in the company. And then it's really just gonna be a matter of which works best. Then, at least on TrackMan, for me, there's gonna be a dispersion chart. So every time you try a new club, I'm gonna change the label, and TrackMan will automatically label those shots as a different color. And then at the end, we'll be able to have groupings of each club to see where they ended up. Then it's the same thing as far as numbers. So there will be a table with groups for each different club, and it'll tell us every number that you could possibly want. Spin, landing angle, club speed, ball speed, smash factor, anything you wanna know. Then after all of that, personally, what I like to do is I like to pick 2 or 3 that really stood out for me, and if there were any that stood out to you from a looks perspective, from a feel perspective, anything like that, I wanna pick 2 or 3 that we really, really liked out of that first bunch. Then we're gonna be a lot more critical in round 2 when I have you hit those again. Then we're really gonna try to dial in the exact right shaft, gram weight, lie angle. We're gonna get a lot more specific with those 2 or 3 heads that we liked best. Then once we settle on which one we think is gonna be the one that we end up going with, that's when we absolutely dial in everything as best as we possibly can. I'm gonna put tape on the bottom of the club to see what your lie angle officially should be. I'm gonna, I measured you at the beginning, but we're gonna talk through length. We're gonna talk through, well, that's pretty much it. Lie angle, length, and there are the 2 main things that we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about whether we need to go stronger in loft or weaker in loft, depending on the spin and launch conditions that we want. And then we're gonna talk about stuff like golf ball too, that pair up with that iron. Because the 3 things that we can change really easily once you actually have the irons in your hands are first the lie angle, so we can put it in the loft and lie machine and bend it, upright, flat, more loft, less loft, whatever we want to do there. We can change the golf ball that you're using, obviously, that's just self-explanatory, and then we can change grip or grip size. So if we're blocking everything to the right and you have jumbo grips on there, maybe you want to go to something a little bit smaller, turn that face over a little bit more, get a little bit quicker closure. Then after all that, after we dial in the club, the shaft, all the specs and everything, I want to talk about set makeup. So maybe you go, driver, 5 wood, and then you go to like a 5 hybrid or something that's like 25, 26 degrees of loft. Well, if that's gonna be lower lofted than like a 4 iron or 5 iron in that set, maybe we don't need to get the 4 iron or the 5 iron in that set. Maybe we would only go, 6 through gap or something like that. Chances are it's gonna be leaving out the 4. Usually we still go with the 5, but just from what I found, how strong lofted irons are nowadays, usually the 4-iron is not something that I'm gonna recommend. Unless you're a decent ball striker paired with enough speed, then I'm gonna recommend a 4-iron. Also, it just matters how comfortable you feel hitting a 4-iron. If you don't like hitting 4-irons, don't get a 4-iron. If you really like hitting 4-irons, get a 4-iron. There's a lot more that goes into it, but just from a loft perspective, usually 4-irons are too strong lofted to where the hybrid, it doesn't make sense to carry a 4-iron and a hybrid. And that's pretty much it. We would get those clubs ordered. They would be in your hands roughly in about 2 to 3 weeks. I said this in a couple other videos, but I'm gonna say it again because it happens all the time. Once we put the order in for the clubs, it is out of our hands. We can't make that company, hurry it up and get it there in 2 days. Generally, we quote 2 to 3 weeks. That's roughly about the time that they're running to get in. So yeah, that's what it runs. We don't control whether it gets there faster or slower. So overall, I would say this: fittings are supposed to be fun, not intimidating. Our job as club fitters aren't only to get you playing your best golf with the best equipment, that's job number one, but also to make the process of the club fitting and after the club fitting, seamless and a fun experience. I would also end with this: there is no best club. People come in all the time and they ask, oh, what's the best brand for irons? What's the best brand for driver? There is no such thing anymore. Every company makes really good products. All that matters is what works best for your swing and your swing speed and your tempo and your characteristics and everything like that. Maybe TaylorMade will work best for somebody, Callaway will work best for the next person that walks in, Titleist for the next person, so on and so forth. You get the idea. I would also encourage you to go get a club fitting for something. If you've never had one before, see what that experience is like. I promise you as a club fitter that it will help your game. Unless what you already have is perfectly fit for you and you didn't even know it. But yeah, like I said, I've made videos about what to do before a club fitting. You guys seem to like that one. I've made a video about what to do after a club fitting because that's an underrated part of the club fitting, in my opinion. But yeah, be sure to go check those out. They'll be linked down below. Also, before I go, just to let you guys know, again, I have partnered with Primo Apparel. They make the best apparel in the game, best hats, best shirts, by far the best joggers. I will never wear another pair of joggers again. I have a discount code for you guys. It'll save you 15% off at checkout. That is going to be AKS15. It'll be on the bottom of the screen during this whole video. But yeah, be sure to go check out Primo. Make sure to drop a comment about your club fitting experiences, good or bad, what you wanted to see more of, what you did like from them, how the experience was. I want to hear about it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. It helps me out a ton. I do appreciate all the support you guys have shown on this channel. It's been awesome to see. So yeah, keep it up. And until next time, peace out.